This video is designed to provide both school leaders and teachers a simple process to create and sustain school and classroom interventions. Many school and classroom improvement efforts suffer from a lack of true rigor as well as a lack of adherence to principles and methods that have stood the test of time. Start by seriously considering how much you want your efforts to make a real and noticeable difference versus to simply comply with political demands. Adopting a systematic approach to intervention means its documentation allows for a precise replication of that intervention. A systematic approach is the only way to ensure the integrity of the intervention, to allow for purposeful modification to that intervention, and to determine the intervention's true effectiveness. Without a systematic approach, success will be unverifiable and unsustainable. There is currently a widespread resolve to consider employing only those interventions with supporting research. Although this is a step in the right direction, it is only a baby step. Even the best research-supported practices are rarely a perfect fit for your needs and often require substantial alterations to gain local support free from stakeholder opposition. The research evidence is still important and a good place to start, but more should be considered. Even an intervention program with strong research support requires great implementation fidelity to work as promised. When a program is even slightly altered, diluted, truncated, etc., it may lose the very feature that made it work in the laboratory. To give your intervention a fighting chance, identify the principles that connect the intervention to its targets. The easiest and most effective way to do this is to consider how the intervention will provide the 4 conditions for learning, then make sure it does just that. These 4 conditions simply recast long-held principles of learning that have been rigorously studied and consistently produce strong empirical support. Successful interventions provide them, and unsuccessful ones don't. It should seem a bit obvious, but just as you shouldn't ignore a burning building, you shouldn't prescribe solutions where no problem exists. Consider how evidence informs your decisions and how aggressively you are willing to make new evidence available for each new decision. Okay, you've gotten past the tough stuff, now on to the improvement cycle. In 3 simple words, assess, plan, and do. The first of these words, assess, refers to the evidences you organize to determine need, track implementation, follow progress, and inform modification. The first step is to gather and organize your existing data. This might include everything from student test scores to extracurricular participation to parent-teacher conference attendance. Then organize those data into presentations you can understand, share, and supplement. Needless to say, we think snapshot data are important, and we have years of research data to back that up. Additionally, snapshot data are easy to obtain, cover every area of school concern, are already summarized for common consumption, allow for valid pre-post comparisons, and costs a lot less to collect than any of the other data you are bringing to the table. Snapshot data make the entire process so much easier and effective. There are 3 things schools can and do use as metrics: tests of knowledge, counts of behaviors, and collections of opinions. Schools already have experts in creating protocols for collecting the first 2 of these. The last one should be left to other experts, as opinion collecting is a messy business. However, you can use any of these to determine needs, ensure the fidelity of an intervention, or to track progress toward goals. If in doubt, try piloting the assessment for a while to perfect your data collection and summary methods. It is not just a good idea, but mandatory that data be summarized for analysis and maintained in a project notebook. Tables can be useful and are very common, but nothing conveys information like graphs, specifically line graphs. Choose data that can be collected often and graph counts or scores over time. Establish and mark goals, and track both outcome progress and treatment adherence. Then share the graphs with both the interventionists and their learners. Even young children can monitor their own progress when line graphs are used. The next step is to analyze your data, research intervention options, and plan the implementation of the intervention. Based on your data, determine a target for intervention. Typical intervention targets include student knowledge or academic skills deficits, or student misbehaviors, but additional targets could include the quality or efficacy of teacher collaboration or the extent of parent involvement. When considering the target, make sure it is explicitly defined and measurable. Don't forget the conditions for learning, teaching, and community support. If they are not the direct targets for intervention, they will certainly serve as companion targets to whatever you choose. Make sure the intervention you choose can be explicitly described and, where possible, identically deliverable by all of the interventionists. Also, make sure that the intervention can be monitored for fidelity and adherence. It is never wise to ignore the state of the treatment. Be smart. This may be an overused term, but over these many years it hasn't lost any of its value. Make sure your inputs and outputs are measurable and measured. Then, write the plan down. By now, you have already put a great deal of effort into this intervention. Don't allow naysayers to interfere or dismiss the effort by saying they are already doing it. They aren't, and neither are you until you show it. Make sure each participant is well trained, has the necessary time and resources, and has made the commitment to carry out the plan to its fullest. Remember, students and parents can help as well. Make sure you have sufficient resources in place in advance to limit disruptions. No one can play ball when there isn't one. And a single disruption will force rescheduling and potentially devalue the intervention or data collection. Stay organized. Just as you can pilot test your data collection protocols, you can pilot your intervention as well. Using a pilot program with your most enthusiastic interventionists might demonstrate the ease and efficacy of an intervention and bring everyone around when it is time to expand across campus. Time to jump in. You'll never know until you try. Now that your intervention is off the ground, it is time to reassess, replan, and redo. That is, remember to recycle. One of the important metrics for intervention success is the commitment to data collection. Once data collection is skipped or the process de-emphasized, it is then too easy to dilute or abandon the intervention itself. Keep the commitment to data collection and graph, graph, graph. For data analysis to work its magic, there should be little or no missing data, and all of it should be summarized in a fashion that creates a common understanding among consumers. Make sure both treatment adherence and outcome progress are evaluated, keeping in mind the goals explicitly stated in your plan. Oh yeah, do this regularly and right from the start. If the intervention is being implemented as planned, but outcome goals are not being met, consider what conditions are not being provided. This will help correct any intervention that needs a little help. Keep going. As you gain experience and confidence in this improvement cycle, try it for something else, then something else, and well, you get the idea. At the beginning of this video, we listed some very serious things to consider. Maybe it is time to consider them again. Has your approach been truly systematic? An easy way to check is to see if someone can look at your written plan and implement it somewhere else with fidelity. Another way to know is if you are aware at all times how faithfully the intervention is being implemented and where you are relative to your goals. Did you look beyond the research? If you altered an existing intervention program even slightly or design one from scratch, can you identify the principles that connect the intervention to its target? Even if you didn't make alterations, understanding the driving principles has great value and will help you keep things on course. Are you assessing and minding the conditions for learning, teaching, and community support? We are certainly biased here at Tetra Analytix, but it is research evidence, ours and many others over many decades, that creates that bias. These conditions are more than important. They are essential to your success. Are you committed to data collection and analysis? This seems very nerdy, but research has shown a relationship between commitment to data and intervention success. Make new evidence as a part of every new decision. We hope this video helped. Please let us know.